Hello everyone, my name is Dave Landry. I'm getting quite a few requests on how to scan, so I thought I would take a few minutes today and show you how I do that. Now, before we get started, I use Telecharts Platinum. I love Telecharts. I said so many people to the company, they made me a distributor. You could probably accomplish the same thing with other charting packages because what I do is very simple. But if you go with Telecharts, I will give you my exact scans. You do not need Platinum to do this type of scanning. You simply would do it after the close. You would see the same exact thing that I do. In fact, a lot of my scanning is done after the close. One advantage Platinum gives me is that it is a real-time feed, and I'm able to start my scans about an hour early. I can at least look at my tradable universe. I'm going to show you how to create that in just 1 second. But if you do go with Platinum, you can get a head start on your scans. You also get real time, and you could become a member of Dave Landry Trend Traders for free. Okay, my affiliate code is 136 if you call in your order, or if you go with Telecharts Gold, you can just click on the banner ad on my website. You can actually get 30 days free to try all this out to see if it's right for you. Now, I didn't mean to make this sound like a Telecharts ad. I'm just that passionate about the product. I really love it. But let me just show you how I scan. Now, don't get too caught up in the formulas on any of this. I will give you my exact formulas if interested. Now, first thing I like to do, at least once a month, I create a tradable universe. Now, I take all the stocks in a database and I just sort them by 500,000 or more volume. Now, keep in mind, this volume is not a predictive tool. I do not use volume as an indicator. I simply use it to find stocks that are liquid enough to trade. So I come down to the last one that's flagged in the list. Oops. And then I mark it, click on it, and then I click flag, and I want to flag all above the after symbol. And I'm going to copy this list over to a new watch list. And I'm going to call that list my tradable universe. I already set it up here for you. But I put today's date in there so I know when's the last time I made this. You only have to run this about once a month just to give you that stocks. Now, 500K is a good number. If I have at least 500K in a stock, if it trades, I should say on average at least 500,000 shares, I know that stock's going to be liquid enough to trade my methodology, which is somewhere in the short to intermediate term time frame. Now, once a day, about an hour before the close, I go in and I look at my tradable universe. First thing you do, unflag everything in the system and enlarge the chart. Now, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to sort these first by historical volatility. Now, don't get caught up in the math on this. Historical volatility is just a measure of volatility. Volatility is how much a stock moves around. As a general statement, within reason, the higher the volatility, the more opportunity. It brings some risk with it, but I'd rather trade a more volatile stock than a less volatile stock. Volatility is relative to the market. Right now, the overall market has an HV rating of about 16. So this stock right here, it's pretty wild and crazy with HV of 459. I would pass that up fairly quickly, but as you get further down the list, somewhere around 100 or so, I might slow down a little bit because those stocks, although volatile, they still might have some potential. They might offer some potential opportunities. Okay, so you can see there's a stock that's just kind of breaking out to new highs, kind of wild and crazy, lower price. May or may not trade this. I'd have to think about it a little bit more, but certainly not going to buy the breakout. But it looks kind of interesting because it's hitting new highs. And the sector action, by the way, this is a sector line in the background. This is not some secret indicator. This is just a sector, which is biotechnology. Well, the sector looks like it's doing pretty good. The stock looks like it's doing pretty good. All of this I'll see at a quick glance. I'll just flag that stock by hitting my F key. And then in a minute, we're going to copy it over to a list. So I'll just go through this. And this is about how fast I actually scan. So you can see, even though it's 1,800 stocks, we've just gone through about 50 or 100 fairly quickly here. So it doesn't take that long to get through the list. But anything that's in a nice little trend like this, whether it's set up or not, like that one, I'll actually flag and we'll move it over to another call list. Now, once I get through the list, in fact, two things. One, right now, you see we're up around 100. I'll go down until we get into 30s or 40s on this as far as volatility. Here's a stock that looks kind of interesting here. In fact, this is one we actually are long. This triggered about 2 weeks ago. It's up about 30% since then. Today, notwithstanding, but it's been doing fairly good as of late. But this is a stock that I got by doing these scans. You can see it had this nice little trend here. It accelerated and then pullbacks. Pullbacks is what I play. And I'm going to show you the pullback scan in just 1 second. At least me, as just one of us here today. All right, so I copy these over to another list, and I call this list my Momentum 100. Okay, now there are a few shorts currently in this list. If we're in a bit of a market that's headed lower, a bear market or whatever, I'll actually keep two separate watch lists, one for the upside and one for the downside. Just to keep it easy, though, I just keep this Momentum 100. Now, if you look at this list, you'll see my list has grown to a little bit more than 100, but I like to keep it kind of manageable. And there's that stock we just saw, that AEN. You can see it's now a member of this list because it's showing some momentum. If we sort these by symbol, I'll actually take a little bit more time and look at this Momentum 100 a little bit more carefully. There's that AEN again. It's not set up just yet, but as you go through this list, just look for stocks that have made recent new highs and have begun to pull back. This is a stock that might catch my eye. It looks like the sector's doing pretty good. It's got nice momentum. It's pulled back a little bit. So this might make my final call list because it is set up as a pullback. Now, speaking of pullbacks, after the close, I changed my watch list back to all stocks because I don't want to miss anything, okay? And I don't just want to limit myself to that tradable universe. I'm going to change my PCFs, and first thing I'm going to do, and a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually, TC actually has a secondary sort feature that's built in. You can sort by one thing, such as volatility, and then turn around and sort again by pullbacks, and it's going to give you the most volatile pullbacks first. So the first thing I did was I sorted by volatility, and then I'm going to sort by pullbacks. Now, this pullback scan, very simple scan that I wrote in here. I'm looking for pullbacks that have at least 400K volume. Now, a minute ago, I said 500K. The reason I bumped the volume down in here is just to give me a few more stocks, just in case something's on the cusp of being still active enough to trade. You could dip even below that 400, but just be careful if you get too low, because remember, the thinner the stock, the more trouble you're going to get in trying to get in and out of it, and your spreads are going to be much worse. Okay, that's a story for another discussion. But anyway, I go through this list, and you can see this scan is designed to find a recent high and a pullback from that high. Okay. Now, obviously, some of these are 99% of these aren't worth tradable, but the scan is very loose parameter scan. It's going to find anything that's made a recent high and has pulled back from that high. Conversely, it will also find anything that's made a recent low and has pulled back from that low. Obviously, I'm not interested in a 40-cent stock, but I keep my parameters open just in case something that's a little bit lower price catch my eye. Years ago, I probably wouldn't trade a $3 stock in here just because I like to focus more on higher price stocks. But in more recent times, especially since we had such a horrible bear market, I'm finding a lot of opportunities in lower price lower price stocks. So I'm a little bit more lenient now. And as you can see, we got these sorted by volatility. As we go through it, you can see this volatility is slowly dropping in here, and I go a little bit quicker as I get closer to the volatility of the market itself. And again, right now that's about 15 or 16. So when I start getting down to the 20s or 30s, I probably go through this list a little bit faster than what you're seeing now. Anything that looks remotely interesting to me, I flag it, and then I copy it over to that Momentum 100 list. Okay, so let's copy those over to that list, assuming that we went through the entire list, which we don't have time enough to do in real time, but we'll copy it over to the Momentum 100. And the last thing we're going to do for my final analysis is I'm going to go through this Momentum 100, and anything that looks like it might be set up, it looks pretty good, I'm going to go ahead and copy it over to, I'm going to write it down in my notebook, and I'm going to go ahead and copy it over to what I call my Landry list. Okay, so let's say I'm going through this list. This time I sort them by symbols because I'm really not too worried about the volatility. I've already pre-qualified all the stocks in this list, and as I go through the list, I'm looking for something with nice momentum, nice little pullback. Some of these stocks aren't set up, they're just momentum stocks, but look at this one here. Nice little new highs here, has begun to pull back. This would catch my eye. I would make a note on this stock as one that I would want to come back to. Now, after I did a little bit more analysis and I checked out the sector and I felt pretty confident about the overall market and such, I would go ahead and copy that to what I call my Landry list. And I'll show you an older one. I don't want to show you today's because of those on the service, out of courtesy to those people. But if you do want to look at all these older lists, stocks I've found over the last 6 years, you could download the archives from DaveLandry.com. And this is my actual call list for this particular day. So go in and take a look at these as you have time. So it's a very simple process. I like looking, again, at a lot of charts. If you need my scans one more time, just shoot me an email at dave@davelandry.com. Thanks, everyone, and happy trading.